It's the year 2021, and the Illustrator team is super excited to bring to you an array of new features, time-saving tips and tricks across the Illustrator ecosystem of products. So let's begin with what's new in Illustrator for Adobe Max 2021. Hi, bonjour, namaste. Hope everyone is in good health. I am Mrinalini Sardar, Design Manager engaged with Adobe Illustrator, and co-hosting this session with me is Avinash Singh Kotwal, Senior Product Manager with the Illustrator team. Key takeaways from this session will be showcasing brand new features in Illustrator, latest technologies, tips and tricks for everyone, time-saving tools to help you accomplish more in less time. In the next 30 minutes, you will be learning about some key new features, beginning with the 3D and materials effects panel, which has been updated to a whole new level. Search and seek via the Discover panel. Font feature enhancements like auto-activation of missing fonts and selecting similar fonts based on attributes like font family, style, and color. Place link files from the cloud right inside your Illustrator document. Collaborate and make real-time comments on a live cloud file and see them right in your app across Illustrator Desktop and also the iPad. So let's jump right into it. 3D and materials in Adobe Illustrator. We have upgraded the 3D engine and the user experience to a whole new level. To help you achieve new avenues of your 3D visual expression right inside the Illustrator desktop application. What you will learn in this section is 2D to 3D geometry transformations like extrude, revolve, inflate your normal 2D parts to create 3D objects. Rotate 3D objects with ease with the on-canvas rotation widget to rotate with real precision. Apply substance materials and play with a wide range of these materials that are procedural. Explore light and shadows in 3D and bring your artworks to life with the interplay of these elements. And finally, render and export 3D artwork. When your artwork is complete, bake in all the goodness with the ray tracing rendering engine. Also, you can export your art in .png and .obj 3D geometry formats that can be consumed by third-party 3D applications like Adobe Stager or Blender or Cinema. Time for a quick demo to see the real magic. Welcome to this demo of 3D and materials in Illustrator, where we imagine new possibilities in the 3D world, giving new meaning to 2D parts in Illustrator. The all-new 3D and material effects in Illustrator Desktop will open up a whole new world for you to explore possibilities in the 3D space. As you can see right now, I'm inside the Illustrator application and I have some typography on canvas, the word hope, which we all need this year and in coming years, praying for everyone's health. So the canvas artwork right now, if you can see, these are all 2D parts. And what I'm going to do is apply some 3D effects to it. So I go to effects and under Illustrator effects, if you see it, let me just zoom in. You have 3D and materials, and then you have all these new functions, which is extrude and bevel, revolve, inflate, rotate, and materials. What we have done is put the classic tech or the legacy tech and remarked all those areas as classic so that all your old files are still compatible with the 3D classic panel. But for now, what I'm going to do is just apply extrude and bevel functionality to this artwork. So the moment I click on it, you see that some kind of extrusion has been applied to this artwork. And also over here, my 3D and materials panel has popped up. And to denote this panel, we have this cube icon, just to give this a little bit more focus so that you can see it clearly. Yeah, that's the icon for 3D and materials. And we also have three tabs under this main panel, which is for object or geometry functions. We also have something called the materials panel, where you have a host of materials to choose from, which are from substance. And then you also have lighting adjustments, where you can change the lighting of the entire artwork. So I'm going to begin with some basic extrude functions. As you can see here, extrusion is denoted by this icon, and as default value, it is at 50 pixels. But I'm going to start playing with the sliders, and you can see how easily extrusion is happening. So I like this depth. And if you don't see the speed and performance happening real time, what you can also do is just open up Illustrator preferences and get into the performance tab. And under here, you should be able to see something called real time drawing and editing. Just make sure that this part is checked on. So I already have it checked on, and I'm just going to cancel this dialog. But if you don't have real-time feedback, which is like the moment you're changing the sliders, it's going to affect your canvas. So I'm happy with this extrusion value. Now what I'm going to do is just adjust the lighting. So I will quickly change to my lighting tab, and in the lighting tab, you can see there are standard presets that are available, so I can quickly get into diffuse lighting or top left. And what this black dot does is it showcases from which direction the light is actually being casted on this object. So top left means the light has moved here, right means the light is right here. And depending on the light source, I can also adjust intensity. So I'll just go with standard and adjust intensity a little bit here. And of course, if you have 3D, you will definitely want shadows. You can see that shadow controls here are awesome. And let me just switch on the shadow slider, and you can see immediately shadows get casted. Now I can actually play around with the shadow parameters with the rotation slider. So what it's doing is it's moving the light, and the shadow is getting casted accordingly. You can also adjust the height of the lights, and you can see that you can cast long shadows or really short shadows. So I am going to cast long shadows for now. And if I cast like really long shadows, you can see a clipping effect happening. So to avoid this, you can play with shadow boundary, which is right here. It's the last function. So if you just play with shadow boundary, you can see that the bounding box of this 3D effect is actually increasing when you increase the shadow boundary. And if you close it, it's actually bringing the bounding box closer to the artwork. So if you have a decent shadow boundary, I just want to keep like the height of the shadows like shorter. So I increase the height sliders. I'm happy with this effect. Softness, what it does is it actually makes the shadows much softer than like really harsh or sharp shadows. So I'm going to adjust the softness. And ambient light, which is this checkbox right here. So ambient lighting, if you just switch it off, you'll see that there is no environment lighting on the scene. So it's also like zero lights, but with a little bit of directional lights that are there. And right now only standard lighting is there, and there is no environment lighting. But I like to keep ambient lighting on, and you'll know why pretty soon. So I've adjusted lighting here, and what I will quickly do is get into my object, and I want to give the front surface of this artwork a little more depth. How do I do that? By getting into this functionality called Bevel. So I will just switch on my bevels, and you see that there is a carving that happened on the top surface of this type. So you can play with different kinds of bevels, like convex bevels or even round, which is a softer bevel. So I like the convex bevel for now. And if I play with the width, you can see that the bevels are moving. I can also play with the height of it. I can also repeat a bevel. So if it's step 2 means it has done 2 step of bevels on my artwork. So I am giving it a lot of depth with all these parameters and controls. I can also bevel inside the object. And I quite like the effect that have come down to. So if I'm happy with an effect like this, what I can also do is just get into this button here. So I'm just going to focus on this button and zoom in. This is a very important button, and this is used for rendering. So I'll just show you how quickly I can render and bake in all the goodness by just clicking on this button. So the moment I do that, you see that the ray tracing engine is on. It also gives you a tooltip that ray tracing is on, and your final artwork has actually baked in all the goodness. So I'm just going to focus on this and take you to the final artwork. You can also bump up the quality settings inside the rendering settings, and I'll quickly show you the kind of variations of your artwork that you can do. Here you can also cast shadows below the object, where the butterflies are casting their shadows below it instead of behind it, which is happening for the text. This is another example with different lighting conditions, and the shadow is right below the main object. So here I have this path in Illustrator right now. It's a very simple path, and I'm going to showcase the Revolve functionality in 3D. So under Object, you have Revolve. So if you just zoom into this, you can see that this is the icon that denotes it. And the moment I click on it, what it did was it revolved this path from the left edge. If I just get into the right edge of it, what it did was this is actually a chess piece. What just happened there? Let's just slow down and see how it's revolving on this angle. So it's basically revolving the path on the right edge. Now, another cool thing about this is you can also apply materials, really cool looking substance materials on objects. And I will just focus on this second tab now, which is called materials. And you can see this closely when I click on it. What happens is you will get into the materials tab, and there are a host of substance materials that you can choose from. So Illustrator now is coming with like 42 default materials ranging widely from concrete substances to like metals and wooden textures. So for this chess piece, I just want to quickly play around with, let's say, some wooden textures. It's a bit harsh on the texture, so why don't I choose a more lighter texture here? And you have a host of material parameters that you can play with and material properties that you can play with. So if you just switch on these accordions, these properties will open up and you can change the color as well as density. And I will quickly get into it, but let me also see, if you don't like the default materials that are coming in, you can always go into these two icons and find more materials from the substance source side or the substance community side. Let me just zoom into these icons, and you can see when you click on it, it will take you to the website. So Illustrator now focuses on materials where you can upload any material into this panel, which is a .sbsar format. So I can also add in my custom materials from here. And if I want to remove my material, I just simply click on this button. And what it does, it gets back to the base material, which is like having no material on this object. Now, if I've added a material into this panel, it's going to reflect under the My Materials section. So I had downloaded this really nice dark oak wood texture from the source site of Substance. And the moment I applied it, you can see, right? It has a beautiful texture already. So I like this texture. Now I can see an on canvas widget here. So this is called the rotation widget. I will take you through the details of the rotation widget in detail. So if I just hover on this X axis, I can see that my cursor has changed and it gives me a tooltip called rotate around X. That means I can rotate around the X axis. If I hover on this vertical line, it gives me a tooltip saying that I can rotate around the y-axis. And on this line, this circular line, when you see the arrow, it means basically you can rotate around the z-axis. When I point to the center of this widget, it allows me to rotate freeform. So those were the detailed interactions of this rotation widget. Now what I'm going to do is just show you how I can rotate very easily on the x-axis. And let me get into a little more detail here. This is actually rotating this on the y-axis. And if I click and drag, this is rotating around Z. And if I click on the center button, it will basically rotate freeform. So a very cool on-canvas rotation widget, which will give me precise controls. And you can see the lighting and the highlights comes in full form. You can always go to the object tab, and if you want to reset, you can just get all the X, Y, Z coordinates to 0, 0, 0, and it will reset itself to the same position. So really cool what I can do with substance materials and the geometry. And just to see the value of Revolve, you can create such amazing chess pieces with realistic wooden textures and right inside your Illustrator 3D effects engine. So I have this fantastic artwork by my colleague and friend Sarah Keenly. She is working with us in the Illustrator design team, and I thought why not take her artworks and take the 3D engine of Illustrator for a spin on these really complex illustrations and magical and beautiful illustrations actually. And if I just click on this, you can see how complex this artwork is. It is made from a variety of parts. And quickly, if you just want to see what's happening here, I'll just show you that in a matter of minutes, you can achieve a fantastic effect like this, which is just a play of inflation and materials and shadows inside 3D. So you can achieve this effect in a matter of minutes. And you can see the difference, right, between the 2D artwork on the left and the way it pops out with the 3D materials and effects inside Illustrator. So quickly jumping into it of how we actually do this, I'll just concentrate on a very fine part of this artwork. So let's say I really want to give these leaves a little bit of more life. How can I do it? I get into this icon, which will pop up my 3D and materials, and under objects, I will see inflation, right? So inflation is actually denoted by this balloon icon. And the moment I click on this, what it does is it actually inflates the leaves. Now, there is like an immediate reflection, but if you want to bump it up to ray tracing mode, what you can do here is just click on this render button and it will apply the ray tracing engine on these leaves. Now, if you can see here is a little bit of pixelation that is happening because right now if you get into render settings, you're at the lowest quality in render settings. So you can see there are three quality controls: low, medium, high. I can also reduce noise. I can also vectorize these leaves. So getting into just the quality settings right now, I'm just going to keep it high. And you can also see over here that there is something called raster settings. So if I just click on raster settings, what it does is it opens up the dialog for document raster effect settings, which is called DRES, which controls the resolution of this document. So if you really want the pixelation to go away and you're kind of really uh, finalizing on your artwork, you can choose the resolution to be 300 ppi and just press OK. So the moment you do that, what you did right now is you change the raster settings and you have also bumped up the quality, and just click on this render button to see how the leaves are going to look in ray tracing mode. So you can see there is definitely been a bump up of quality. So I'm going to quickly grab a few more objects, click inflate, click my ray tracing, which is now rendering at 300 ppi. You can see how easily I can give multiple objects just inflation functionality and click ray tracing and bump it up. So in a matter of seconds, I'm being able to apply really cool effects, 3D effects on my 2D artworks. Now these kind of complex characters like multiple parts, I can also click on inflation on these, and it applies the inflate functionality in the preview mode. And then when I click on the ray tracing rendering button, it really bakes in all the goodness of the lighting and the inflation control. So look at how beautifully ray tracing has applied onto these characters. I can also get into the lighting tab and switch on shadows in the ray tracing mode. And what it does is it's now actually in ray tracing mode, which is a really powerful mode. It is being able to give me shadows right behind it. I can also increase or decrease the height of the shadows because I don't like the spread area so much. And you can see how fast the shadow is getting calculated and executed on these characters. So really powerful here. Right now I'm rendering in 300 dpi, which is great. Now I'm going to grab hold of this structure, which is like dark blue, and I'm going to play with the materials tab here. Now, I just want you to focus on this amazing marble material, which I liked from the host of materials I can explore with. And I'm going to quickly apply inflate to this. So what I have here is now substance materials and inflation working on this particular object. And when I get into the materials tab, I can see that there are a host of controls like material properties. I can also control individual characters of this material. So I'm just going to make it dark here because my background is light. Give it a more darker texturing and shading, and see, in a matter of seconds I have completely been able to play around with the materials. And also, if I want to see the real power of ray tracing, I'll have to switch the rendering on, and you can see like it got rendered in ray tracing mode. I can also get into the density of this, like just adjusting the density sliders here will give this more textures and this beautiful marbling effect. So yeah, in a matter of minutes, what I've been able to do is completely convert the 2D artwork and parts into this magical 3D effect with a lot of shadows and a lot of inflation and the powerful ray tracing engine. So I'm just going to show you that how we have been able to build in this beauty and see the difference of rendering between ray tracing and just normal 2D parts, vector parts in Illustrator. So these are just some experiments that Sarah has been playing with on her illustration. So this is just 2D vector parts in Illustrator, which she had created initially. And then now she's working with the 3D Illustrator effects to give it this kind of extrusion and quality. So you can see like it's baked with ray tracing here. You can also change angles of your entire artwork, give more depth to your clouds, and just your character illustrations just stand out and pop really well in 3D. Even simple parts like typography can be bumped up with the 3D engine in a matter of seconds. Here you have like your stroke color changing and your fill color is white, and this gives a lot of depth to the artwork. We can also see a lot of examples in logos and icon creations where simple 2D parts are just getting converted into 3D icons with just a bit of lighting play and extrusion here. You can also apply inflation and play around with your lighting. And here, this is a play of inflation and shadows. So really magical things being created in 3D, and we are also using the latest denoiser technology, which actually reduces the noise in the artwork to give it a really strong 3D visual appeal. So thank you so much for attending the 3D demo. And now after this, Avinash is going to take over and walk you through a host of other exciting features.
Thank you, Brinalini. Hello, everyone. My name is Avinash Kotwal, and I'm the Senior Product Manager for Illustrator. I'm going to talk about all the cool features that we're bringing into Illustrator this Max. So let's get started. The first feature I'm going to talk about is Discover Panel. Discover Panel offers you contextually relevant help and resources right within Illustrator. It also offers you suggestions based on your work and based on the content that you choose to engage with. So let's get into the demo so that I can show you what I mean. Discover panel can be invoked either by pressing F1 shortcut key or going to help and clicking on Illustrator help, or by simply clicking on the search icon on the top right. As you would see, there are three sections within Discover panel. Suggestions are based on your recent activity. In Browse section, you can look at all the hands-on tutorials that you can follow along. You can go to all the relevant help and other learning resources, or you can go to the What's New section to check out all the recent new features that have been shipped in Illustrator. And the Resources link section has other external useful Adobe links. So now let me show you power of Discover panel. So let's say I'm a new user and I start by searching how to draw. And as you can see, it starts listing down all the relevant tools. And the best part is, the moment you hover over any of these tools, the tool gets highlighted in the tools panel so that you can know exactly where the tool is located. And it also lists all the relevant panels to that search query. And if you click on see all results, you will see all the help related to your search query and all the tools that are relevant to that search. So let's say I click on this article which talks about how I can draw simple lines and shapes. Now the best part is, as you follow along this article, the moment you hover over any of the tools mentioned in the article, it gets highlighted. And not only that, when you click on it, it actually gets selected so that you can start using it right away. The other cool thing about Discover panel is, let's say you want to use something like image trace. Now you know how it works, but you just can't locate it. You can simply search for it, and once you click on this search result, the panel pops up. So there are so many other cool things that I can't wait for you guys to discover in Discover panel. And I'm sure you will find it very useful and it will speed up your work. The next feature I want to talk about is auto activate missing fonts. When you open a document that has Adobe fonts not installed on your machine, Illustrator will automatically download those for you. So let's get into demo so that I can show you what I mean. So if you open a file that has some missing fonts, like this file, now this is what you see today, which is a regular missing font dialogs where you have to manually select and activate these. So let's say for sake of this demo, I just activate one of these and I just close it. Now this is the new dialog that you would see, which basically says that we can now automatically activate fonts for you. And you can enable that by pressing this enable auto activate. Now, if you close this document and open it again, and remember there was one missing font, and what you would notice that that font would get auto activated, and you see the notification on the top that the font Gin Regular was activated. So the next feature I'm going to talk about is selecting similar fonts. This allows you to select similar font based on multiple font attributes like font family, font style, and even font color. So let's get into the demo so that I can show you what I mean. So let's say you're creating these posters. We've used a lot of text and you've used a particular color at a lot of places and you don't like it and you want to change it. So today you'd have to go to each one of these and change those one by one. But now you can just select some text and go to select same text fill color, and all the text with the same color gets selected, and then you can easily go and change to whatever color you like. The next feature I want to talk about is placing Photoshop cloud files. Now it would be possible for you to place your Photoshop cloud files into Illustrator. Let me show you how. You can go to File, Place, and once you open your Cloud folder, you would see all the Photoshop cloud files listed here, and you can pick a file and place it like any other file. And if you look at the links panel, there would be a cloud icon next to this indicating that it is a cloud file. This next feature makes it very easy for you to invite your stakeholders to comment on a live document. Now you can invite anyone to give you feedback on a live document. Let me show you how. So let's say you're working on this document and you want to invite your stakeholders to comment on it or provide feedback. You can click on this icon, which opens your share panel, and then you click on the settings. You can make this public, meaning anyone with this link can view it, and you can also switch on the comments. Now, once you copy this link and share it with your stakeholders, they can use this link to open the file in browser and provide you comments. Let's say we want to, can you make this bigger, and submit your comment. Now, if you go back to the document, you would see there's a notification that a new comment has been added. And if you look in the comments panel, you would see the comment there. You can reply to it directly. And if you go back, you would see that comment appearing here in real time. Thank you so much for your time today. We hope you enjoyed learning about these new features in Illustrator. Take care and stay safe.